Okay, so last section here with your fractions is just some application problems. So now you just got to watch your wording, make sure you're careful about what operation needs to be done, in terms of an addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and remember all those things we know about common denominators and how to divide fractions based on what we've done up to this point in the section. All right, so same thing here. I'm going to work couple, and then I'm going to post the other ones for you. So let's start with this first one, because it has a particular case that I want to look at that comes up sometimes when you are subtracting mixed numbers. All right, so we're given two heights. All right, when he finished his first year, he was 69 3/8 inches. When he returned after the summer, he was 71 1/8 inches. And we want to know how much did his height increase over the summer. So we're looking for a change in height. That means we're looking for a difference. Okay, so essentially I want to do 71 1/8, and I want to subtract 69 3/8. Now, the nice thing about mixed numbers when you're adding or subtracting, this is not the case for multiplication or division, but when you're adding or subtracting, you can work with the fractions and then work with the mixed numbers, all right? You just have to be careful because sometimes you're trying to subtract something bigger than what you have, okay? And that's what happens here. Notice if I tried to take the difference in the fractions, 1/8 is smaller than 3/8, right? If you try to subtract 1 minus 3, you're going to get a negative number on that fraction, and that's not going to make sense. So what you can do when that happens, borrow from the whole number. All right, so because that top fraction is too small, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the 70. I'm going to borrow 1, all right? And when I do that, all right, I'm going to add that 1 to the fraction, okay? But 1 in terms of a denominator of 8 is 8 over 8. Okay, so I'm just taking 1 from the 71, adding it to the fraction, but to add it, I have to have the common denominator. All right, so that means what I'm actually looking at here is 70 9/8, right, because I borrowed 1, minus 69 3/8. And so now notice you can subtract those numerators without a problem, because 9 minus 3 would be a positive 6. Denominator is 8. You subtract your fractions, then you just come over here and subtract your whole numbers, right? 70 minus 69 is 1. And then if you can simplify your fraction, these are both divisible by 2. Right? You want to do that. And so what that tells me is the difference or the change in his height over the summer is 1 3/4, and the units are in inches. So just be mindful of that. When you're subtracting the fraction part of a mixed number, if the top number is bigger than the bottom number, just go ahead and subtract. But if it's not, if it's going to make you have a negative fraction, borrow from the whole number and then add that 1 with your denominator to the fraction part of that mixed number. All right. All right, so with these others, again, just watch your wording, right? Be mindful about what it is you need to do, multiplying or adding or whatever that happens to be. The other one that I want to look at here with you in person before I post these is this one right here. All right, what you have to keep in mind is anytime you're looking for a portion of a whole, all right, whole, you think about it typically like 100%, but whole in terms of a fraction is 1. Think about it like, an entire pie. So in this case, I'm given information about a budget, all right, and it's telling me how much of the budget has already been used, all right? 1/5 of the money has been used for photocopying. 3/7 of the money has been used for computer-related expenses. All right, and that's it. So if I want to determine how much has already been used, I'm going to add these two things together. All right, that means I'm going to need a common denominator. For 5 and 7, it'll be 35. All right, the 5 has to be multiplied by 7. So same thing to the numerator. The 7 has to be multiplied by 5. Right, so same thing to the numerator. And then common denominator of 35. 7 plus 15 is 22. So this is the amount of the budget that has already been used. All right, now if we continue reading to make sure we understand the question, the rest of the money is for tutors. All right, so this is asking me what fraction is left for the tutors. And this is where that 1 comes into play. All right, when you're trying to figure out what's left and you're dealing with fractions, you want to take the whole, that's 1, and subtract out the part that's already been used. All right, now we're going to need a common denominator, but anytime you have a whole number, right, the common denominator will be the other denominator. So 1 with a denominator of 35 is just 35 over 35. We're going to need to subtract that 22 over 35 that's already been used. And so what we're left with here for the tutors is 13/35 of the budget. All right, so again, when you're talking about a whole or when you're talking about how much is left over, you're subtracting from 1. And 1 with a common denominator is just always going to have the same number up top as what it has on the bottom. All right, so check D2L for the solutions to the rest of these and then use them as a guide for the problems in your homework for section 5.3. And as always, feel free to reach out to me with any additional questions.